If we strip away the political noise, the relationship between a European citizen and the state is a strict financial transaction. The terms are simple. Citizens pay some of the highest tax rates on the planet. In exchange, the government guarantees premium services, functional healthcare, affordable housing, and safe streets. But across the continent, the state is failing to deliver on its obligations. The numbers no longer cover the promised services. Young Europeans are trapped in a system forcing them to pay a premium subscription rate for a high-end service tier they are locked out of receiving. This chart maps average wages against housing prices since the year 2000. While income stays flat, the cost of housing has spiked, completely detaching from what a normal worker earns. At the same time, Gen Z carries a dual financial burden. They are taxed to fund pensions for retiring generations, while subsidizing infrastructure required to house undocumented migrants. This creates a macroeconomic paradox. A state cannot maintain porous borders and a highly subsidized welfare system at the same time. State capacity has physical limits. Traditional youth activism often misses this reality. Instead of targeting specific economic levers, many protests focus on vague emotional appeals and climate anxiety. Because this systemic failure is driven by the balance sheet, solving it requires a protest strategy focused entirely on those exact same numbers. To see how this changes, look at Nepal in September 2025. This standoff serves as a case study in how a youth demographic can generate leverage against an entrenched government. Facing government censorship and media blackouts, Nepalese Gen Z bypassed the state. They organized a decentralized digital strike using platforms like Discord and Telegram. By coordinating their movement digitally, they paralyzed the system, collapsed the government, and forced a leadership change in a matter of weeks. European youth can apply these same tactics by moving past traditional political labels to form a single voting bloc focused purely on economic security. When millions of voters coordinate their ballots around a single infrastructure goal, the political risk of ignoring them becomes greater than the risk of changing the policy. The establishment is forced to recalculate. When this unified bloc organizes, they must move past general complaints and demand specific macroeconomic legislation. This chart outlines the first demand, the infrastructure cap. It locks incoming visas to the exact number of new housing starts built that year. The logic is simple. If housing construction drops to zero, visa numbers follow, closing the border until capacity is restored. The second demand focuses on defunding NGOs. Private organizations advocating for mass migration would be required to shoulder the capital expenditure for infrastructure rather than the taxpayers. The third demand is the immediate deportation of violent security breaches. By closing judicial loopholes, the state removes high-risk liabilities from the societal balance sheet. These three terms shift the financial liability away from the youth and force the state to reconcile its own contradictory policies. The political establishment assumes Gen Z is too distracted by social media to notice their futures are being sold out, but a coordinated demographic has significant leverage. If the politicians refuse to audit the system, the most highly skilled European youth will simply execute a brain drain. They will take their human capital and relocate to functional markets like the US, Dubai, or Singapore. The consequences for Europe would be severe. The continent would be left with an aging population and a welfare bill it can no longer fund. The system reaches its limit when there is no longer enough young tax revenue to cover the promises made to the previous generation. The politicians who broke the infrastructure will not fix it. It will only be repaired when a generation uses its leverage to force the state to balance the books.